Fall River, Massachusetts, is a town built on industry, faith, and tradition. Red brick mills once roared with the sound of looms, and church steeples still rise above tidy neighborhoods. But among its winding streets and preserved colonial homes, one address has become more infamous than all the rest. That address is 92 2nd Street. To some, it is a museum. To others, it is a crime scene frozen in time. But to those who have dared to stay the night, it is something far more sinister. It is the Lizzy Borden house, and the walls of that house remember everything. Please like and subscribe. Now let's get back to the horror. The story begins in the summer of 1892. The Borden family was considered respectable. Andrew Borden was a wealthy man, a successful businessman who had climbed the social ladder through discipline and thrift. He lived in the house with his second wife, Abby, his 2 adult daughters, Lizzie and Emma, and their housekeeper, Bridget Sullivan. Despite Andrew's fortune, the family lived modestly. The house had no indoor plumbing, no gas lighting, and no telephone. The house was austere, cold, and uncomfortable. There was tension in the air long before any blood was spilled. Lizzy Borden was 32 years old that summer. She had never married. She was active in the church and well known in the community. But behind the image of a respectable lady, many believed there was deep resentment. Lizzie despised her stepmother and believed Abby had married her father for money. There were frequent arguments about the will, and when Andrew gave a valuable property to Abby's family, Lizzie reportedly became furious. By the first days of August, the tension had reached a breaking point. No one could have predicted what would happen next. On the morning of August 4th, 1892, the household woke up early. Andrew left the house to run errands. Bridget, the maid, began her chores, even though she had been ill the night before. Abby went upstairs to make the guest bed. Emma, the older sister, was away visiting friends, and Lizzie remained in the house. The details that follow are not for the faint of heart. Sometime shortly after 9 a.m., Abby Borden was attacked in the guest room. She was struck with a hatchet. Not once, not twice, but at least 17 times. The blows were so violent that they crushed the bones in her face and nearly severed her ear. She died on the floor between the bed and the dresser, her body twisted in a position that seemed almost unnatural. The scene was gruesome. There was no sign of a struggle. Whoever killed her had taken her by surprise. Andrew Borden returned home around 10:45 a.m. He sat on the sofa in the parlor. Bridget had gone upstairs to rest. Lizzie claimed that she was in the barn. Moments later, Andrew was struck in the head with the same kind of weapon. His face was almost unrecognizable. His eye was split in two. Blood covered the cushions and soaked the floor. It was broad daylight. No one had heard a scream. There was no sign of a break-in. Lizzie was the one who discovered her father's body. She called for Bridget. Neighbors were summoned. The police arrived. The investigation began immediately, but it quickly became a sensational scandal. The only people in the house were Bridget and Lizzie. Bridget had an alibi. The police searched the home for the murder weapon. In the basement, they found a broken hatchet head, without a handle. It had been recently cleaned. Suspicion turned toward Lizzie almost instantly. Her statements were inconsistent. She said she was in the barn, but the dust on the floor had not been disturbed. She said she had not seen her stepmother that morning, but Abby had been killed hours before her father. A friend claimed Lizzie had tried to buy poison 2 days before the murders. Even her clothing became suspicious. The day after the murders, she burned a dress in the stove, claiming it had been ruined with paint. The police believed it may have been covered in blood. The trial began in June of 1893. It was one of the first murder trials in the United States to receive national attention. Crowds filled the courtroom. Porters filled the newspapers with every detail. The prosecution argued that Lizzie had killed both Andrew and Abby in cold blood. The defense insisted there was no physical evidence, no eyewitness, and no clear motive. After just 90 minutes of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict. Lizzy Borden was acquitted. She walked free. But the public never truly believed she was innocent. Lizzie remained in Fall River for the rest of her life. She lived in a larger home on the hill, away from 2nd Street. But the community shunned her. She died in 1927, alone and without family. She was buried near her parents in Oak Grove Cemetery. No one ever confessed to the murders. The crime remains officially unsolved, but the house where it all happened never forgot. And according to many who have entered it, the spirits never left. The Lizzy Borden house is now a bed and breakfast. Guests can sleep in the very rooms where the murders took place. Tour guides lead visitors through every creaking floorboard, every narrow hallway, every shadowed corner. But some guests report more than just history. Some guests report the presence of something they cannot explain. In the room where Abby Borden died, guests often describe a sudden drop in temperature. Some feel a pressure on their chest, as if something is watching them from the corner. Others have reported seeing the imprint of a body appear on the bedspread. When no one is lying there, mirrors seem to shift their reflections. Dark shadows move along the wall. A few guests have even fainted without warning, overwhelmed by a sudden feeling of dread. In the parlor, where Andrew was murdered, people report hearing heavy footsteps that cross the room and stop directly in front of the sofa. Others have heard a voice whispering their name when no one else was present. Paranormal investigators have recorded what they believe are electronic voice phenomena. One voice clearly says the name Lizzie. Another, deeper and more chilling, simply says the word why. Bridget's room, in the attic, has a different kind of energy. Some guests say they hear her weeping in the night. Others report the smell of cleaning soap, even when nothing is being cleaned. One guest swore she heard a woman's voice whisper, "I did not want to see it," before the lights in her room flickered and went out. The cellar may be the most terrifying part of all. The broken hatchet head was found down there. Many believe the spirit of the murderer still lingers in that cold, damp space. People who enter the basement often feel disoriented. Some feel as though they are being followed. Some hear breathing behind them. Others have reported feeling a sudden rush of cold air, followed by the sound of someone running up the stairs when no one is there. There are even stories of children's voices. Some guests have heard the sound of a girl humming in the hallway. Others have seen a small shadow dart across the floor, followed by the sound of giggling. No children were killed in the house. But some believe that lost souls are drawn to the energy of the Borden home, trapped in a place where violence opened a doorway that has never closed. Skeptics will say it is imagination. They will say that old houses creak, that wind howls through chimneys, and that candlelight plays tricks on tired eyes. But too many people have felt the same things. Too many people have seen the same figure, a woman in a dark dress, standing silently in the doorway. Sometimes she is seen in the guest room. Sometimes she is seen at the top of the stairs. And sometimes she is standing beside the bed, staring silently at the person sleeping beneath her. Is it Lizzie herself, returning to the scene of the crime? Or is it Abby, seeking justice that never came? Perhaps it is neither. Perhaps the house has soaked in so much grief, so much fear, and so much violence that it now breathes on its own. More than one psychic has claimed that the Lizzy Borden house is a vortex, a place where the veil between the living and the dead is dangerously thin. A place where the past repeats itself over and over again, trapped in an endless loop. Some say that on certain nights, if the house is silent enough, you can hear the hatchet fall. Once, twice, over and over again. Some say you can hear a scream that never reaches the air. No matter what you believe, there is one truth no one can deny. 2 people died inside that house, and their murders were never solved. The truth was buried in silence. And the silence has never left. If you ever find yourself walking along 2nd Street in Fall River, and you pass by the old Borden house, look up at the windows. You may see nothing at all. Or you may see a pale face staring back at you, expressionless, patient, waiting. And if you choose to go inside, remember this: the house may not harm you, but it will remember you. And when the lights go out and the rest of the world sleeps, something inside those walls may whisper your name, not out loud, but deep inside your mind. And once you hear it, you may never forget it.